J. Cole won that beef 110%, right? I remember when it all first was like boiling up and starting to happen, he was entertaining it to a certain extent, right? I feel like everybody's somewhat guilty of, their initial reaction when some bullshit happens. But the way that situation played out so far, right? I'm going to add a big so far, really shifted my respect levels, right? And first and foremost, and I feel like I need to say this, right? Especially because of the industry that I interact with, I fuck with all of them, right? They all have a different conversation. We're trying to compare artistry and battle different conversations, right? That kid blows. J. Cole's conversation is significantly different than K Dot's conversation. K Dot's conversation is talking more recently, at least, right? Old K Dot is a little bit different, but now he's speaking upon healings, family dynamics. He's speaking upon trauma. How that affects the deep rooted core
Where's
of your
everybody
spirit.
camping at, bro?
He's talking about what kind of scopes everybody's like mental health and their peace and sanity and the trauma that they learned from being in these environments. Now, Cole's conversation is more of like the voice of the streets, right? Where he isn't necessarily the one telling you to go heal, but he's telling the truth. He is more of like an humbled, like, this is where I come from. I'm speaking for my people here. I'm speaking for the ones who don't necessarily go down the path of gangbanging and doing all this other type of stuff, but I'm still heavily affected by it because it's my homies. It's the person right next to me. Now, what I will say is Cole and K Dot have two very similar conversations, right? They both are basically the good kid, mad city stereotype, where they are just product of their environment. But it's the way that they articulate. K Dot's articulation and his perspective is hitting more on the spiritual attributes of it. K Dot is trying to talk to your spirit. He's trying to talk to the God in you. He's trying to make you wake up in areas of your life that you didn't even know that was asleep because of the environment. Cole, on the other hand, he's giving you the raw expression of what he's seeing happening within not only the rap and music scene, but then real life in the streets too. Jealousy, envy, greed, just all of that type of stuff. Now, when we go to the Drake part of the situation, his conversation is different from both of theirs too. And I actually hear and agree with his conversation. He's a lover boy. He said it himself, right? A certified lover boy. If you listen to his music, he's talking about his emotions. The dude gets torn. The dude is very sensitive, right? Now I don't know if that's just a Scorpio thing that we have, but we're very, 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 very sensitive. And I don't mean to also be that guy, but people be saying we're always like flirtatious and shit like that, which comes off so weird because I really don't understand. They always have some type of freaky analogy tied to Scorpios, but but it's his conversation is more directed towards the women who's done them wrong, and he's using the pain of his environment and his interactions as fuel to become more successful. His story isn't the environment fucked me up. It's, yeah, the environment fucked me up, but these women is also doing a nigga dirty. That's his conversation. And it's valid too, because a lot of the times things that he's talking about in his music, we've all went through. We just don't want to admit it because it's emotional. Drake sounds like a simp sometimes because he is, and we just don't like the way that sounds, which is probably why he started adapting more of the thuggish, hardish attitude, because people were dismissing him off the rip solely off of some bullshit because his mom is Jewish and he isn't growing up in South Central LA or one of the most dangerous hoods in the city. They discredit him and throw him to the side because he sounds different. But the moment he started sounding a little bit like us, long and behold, we started listening to him. So we can't always blame the other person too, because we play a part in this gatekeeping culture. If he didn't make that persona switch, y'all wouldn't have listened to him. Y'all would have kept him in the back. Even though his conversation was just as relevant as everybody else's, we wouldn't have gave it the shot. I promise you, we wouldn't have. We wouldn't have gave Drake from Degrassi a shot if he didn't change the conversation, because we are so hard stuck on it. I want to show your work. Wait, huh? What's your YouTube? I want to see your show work. Well, my YouTube channel with all my gaming stuff on it is Siblings VFX. If you want to get to my like creative side of me, the business side of me, photography and all that, you go to my Instagram. My website, I'm getting my website revamped. All of this is gonna be into one. But here, I'll put it in chat for you because I feel like that probably make it a little bit easier. But yeah, man, did they all have relevant conversations? They're all relevant. No part of K. Dot, Drake, nor J. Cole should be, belittled. And that's why I feel like they said they're the big three. Because all of them have relevant conversations. All of them. Like, of course, K. Dot was going to beat Drake in a diss track. There's two different energies. It's two different personas. Well, he might have got away with that with Meek Mill, right? That's what I will say. But I even then, I don't think Meek Mill is, like I'm not gonna say he's not from anywhere. He isn't like that because I truly don't care enough to look into it that deep. But just the influences and the articulation, K. Dot was more hip hop centered. That was West Coast. The things that influenced K. Dot was a lot different, just based upon the region. So of course, when the man comes out with a diss track, and last time we had a diss track that did numbers like this was when Tupac and all of them was beefing. That was another West Coast moment, right? West Coast versus East Coast, rather, quote unquote. But that was a West Coast moment in looking back in retrospect. So the West Coast has been known for slaughtering niggas on tracks. That's not surprising, right? At all. And it truly doesn't validate anything as who's the better rapper, because once again, they're talking about two different things. Two different things. That's like trying to compare Beyonce and Cardi B. I saw your work. That looks dope. Thank you, my guy. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's like trying to like compare Cardi B and Beyonce. It doesn't work. Cardi B can probably slaughter Beyonce in a diss track. That doesn't mean Cardi B is a better musician than Beyonce. You get what I'm saying? It all ties into how you're looking at the situation. And if you're choosing to be one-sided and pick sides and click up, it's actually funny too. All these people that's clicking up behind K. Dot, he's actually talking about you guys in the song. He said niggas clicking up, but cannot be legit. No 40 ball. I tell him, he's he's talking about the people around him too. It's so interesting when you're dealing with the ancestral spirit. Y'all thinking he was just dissing Drake. Him dissing Drake was also dissing a lot of the people surrounding the both of them, because the behaviors he was saying that Drake was showing and doing, a lot of the West Coast rappers and other rappers are doing it too. He just didn't feel like making it that big of a dilemma. He could have probably started hitting off at the whole music industry, but just chose to keep it at Drake. Chose to single it down at one. Because they all do the same shit. Usually. But yeah, Cole definitely won that in my opinion. My respect levels for him went up by him kind of stepping back from it and